Hi there and welcome back to the Corporate Warriors podcast. My name is Fela Rosa and in this little episode we're gonna dive into something really powerful for all high performers out there. It's why protecting your time and your energy is actually not a self-care move, it's a strategic career decision. This is especially relevant for you if you're in an environment where you feel that you have some unspoken pressure to always be on, to always be available, no matter the time of day or night, where you feel kind of bad conscience coming in, even though you just went for a 20-minute walk with your dog and actually are doing way more overtime than anybody else, but still think you should not do this. Or it might be too much for you to go 20 minutes outside, then stepping back and working another 5-6 hours. Make sure to stick around until the end because I'll walk you through one simple rule that changed everything for myself and for my career coaching clients, and how to make sure that you and your subconscious actually understand that this is the way forward in the safest, most successful kind of way. And before we dive in now, let's make sure that you subscribe to the podcast, that you like the podcast, give me a 5-star review to make sure that we help others grow as well. This shouldn't be our secret. This is something really important to make the workplace healthier for all high performers out there. I think we deserve it. Thank you for your support. I really appreciate it. Now let's dive in. So let's start with the problem. The root cause of this is that very often as a high performer early in our career, we're kind of rewarded for always being on, for replying super fast to any kind of email, to be always online on Slack or Teams on your phone, to be super fast. Of course, your boss loves that, right? Why wouldn't they? They have a question, they get the answer straight away. Your team, they have a question, they get answers straight away. Of course, yes, in 360 feedbacks, this can be to your advantage. It literally happened to me. I was in a talents program and we're giving feedback to one another. And one person literally rose their hand and said, I really appreciate you because you always give me answers straight away. Now, what kind of feedback is that? But back then I was like, oh, thank you. Thank you. So what happens? Yes, you respond instantly. You're always staying on late, basically never offline. Even if you wake up at night, you might just check because who knows, perhaps something horribly important has happened and it needs you, just you, to answer to that. And you stay late, perhaps telling you yourself that you do that because you're such a great team player. That's an issue over time. So really, because in the beginning, it looks like great commitment, but what it actually is kind of this strict control mechanism that you have for yourself and this fear of not being seen as a high performer or as somebody that holds a team together that is really important in the organization. And the issue is this: if you're not in a workplace that sets up boundaries for you, which does happen, there are workplaces where they tell you, for your vacation, we don't want to see you. If you're sick, we don't want to see you. We don't want to hear nothing from you. We need you to recover. In some countries, there are strict laws for that. In other countries like the US, it's a little bit more, I don't know. Do I feel bad for being sick? Probably. So I'd rather be online all the time instead of actually recovering, right? And if you're in an environment where this is actually seen as normal, it might be that your quick response, your quick thoughts and action is actually being exploited. So you are becoming the quick fixer, which means you're becoming the safety net, which in the beginning feels really good. Don't get me wrong. It's great to be the important person in the room, the important person that anybody can rely on at 4 a.m. in the morning. But the safety net is not for you. This is for everybody else except you, right? And the worst part actually is this. And I'm sure you already felt that. In the beginning, it's great. In the beginning, you get the recognition for it. But at some point, that flips over and it starts to be the new normal. You're just available all the time. You're just the one fixing everything. You're just the one taking care of everything at the weirdest times during the weekend, during vacation. And then it's like a new hygiene factor is what they call it sometimes in organizations, where that is the new normal and anything below that is horribly wrong. And above that, well, what else do you want to do than being available all the time? But you get what I'm saying, right? Something that started off as a basically competitive advantage that you brought to the table is becoming the new normal for everybody around you. So I want you to take a break and take a beat here and just ask yourself this question. If you're at home, journal it down. If you're in the car or anywhere else, just hit pause real quick and think about this. When was it in your career that you were more focused on actually being available and being quick than actual delivering true value? When do you feel the pressure to do that? When do you feel the pressure to go to ChatGPT, hammer out an answer, send it, and then afterwards figure out, actually, ChatGPT was giving me a wrong answer. Happens all the time. You would have been able to send a great answer from the beginning if you didn't feel this crazy amount of pressure to be the fastest one in your workplace. So write that down and be really honest and raw with yourself. And ask yourself, what is this actually productive? Was this actually good for the company and for myself in how I position myself? Was this helpful? Just through the reflection, some doubt will start to creep in, and it's exactly what we need, because we need to doubt our ongoing strategies in order to be fine and happy and looking forward to starting adapting new strategies. Because remember, this is a long-term game that you're playing here. You don't just play for a few weeks. You will do your career for a few years or decades. So you want to be set up with strategies that work in the long run for you. Now let's move on. What do you actually want? You want to get promoted. I hear you. I tell you one thing. What gets you promoted is being strategic and high value. It's not being quick. So I want you to try out this rule starting tomorrow in the workplace, which is I do not respond immediately. It doesn't mean you have to wait a whole day or two, but at least start getting used to having unread messages and not replying straight away and being okay with it. Yes, there are exceptions to the rules like always. If there is a horribly important thing, an event that's just happening at time X and you need to be there and there's something, yes, I get it. But overall, for the normal day-to-day stuff, start getting used to with this uncomfortable situation, with this discomfort of not replying straight away. Start using tools or putting yourself offline from time to time in order to do some deep work. Don't do emails, don't do Slack, don't do Teams. Just focus on this deep work. If you have to, and your boss is so used to it, let them know. Let them know, hey, I want to focus on this right now in the next 2 hours in order to really get it out fast in great value. And by maintaining my focus on this thing only, I'll be able to do that. If you have a horribly urgent thing going on at the same time, you can come up with a special rule, something like telling only your boss, if something horribly escalates, call me on my phone, not on Teams, not on Slack, so that they know in a really, really bad case, they get access to you, but you're actually strategically using your time in the best way possible for your output and for the company. As a side note, if this is being abused, you see that your workplace is really setting you up for failure. If you get called on this emergency line, even though you are sure that this is not an urgent thing, then you're not set up for success right now. And the really interesting thing is this. You will start to feel really productive again. You will start to see your own value more now. Because if you constantly get sidetracked, of course you cannot deliver the same kind of value that somebody does who protects their focus. And with this great new value you bring to the table, your confidence will rise. You will talk differently. When you send out that email about this project where you just focused on for 2 hours, you will feel so good and proud of yourself. And with this space comes clarity. Clarity then will be reflected in the way you show up, you communicate, and this is actually what will position you as the leader, as the person that is able to go that next step in your career. Okay? All right, I hope I got you excited for this small little boundary, the small little experiment that you should run tomorrow, next workday. Now, you might wonder and say, hey, Fela, I am actually right now in a toxic workplace situation, and I'm really afraid of doing this. Should I still try? And my answer is really clear. Yes, do it. Why? Well, first and foremost, this little boundary is just a small one. Remember, it's just 2 hours where you don't reply straight away. It's okay. You will see straight away if your boss is actually toxic or perhaps just not as experienced, but if you set that boundary, they go along with the flow and everybody benefits. Might be, okay? If they really expose themselves now as toxic leaders, you know, so you can change your strategy and put your focus also on the weekends elsewhere, networking, looking for new opportunities, all those things. Also, what very often happens is those toxic managers, they don't go to the strongest people in the room. Not always. What can also happen is these toxic managers thrive, and because their ego feels just like so big, when because of them other people burn out or run in circles. So if you're not running in circles, it might just be that they get themselves another target. It doesn't have to be, but it's also an option. So I want you to consider this and ask yourself, this question. What would it bring me to try this out, even being in my toxic workplace? And what is the worst case that can happen? And what is my plan even then? So that you can start preparing your exit. Because if your workplace is truly toxic, there's no way around it. You need to get out of that situation. If it's the whole workplace, you need to get out of the organization. If it's your team, you need to switch teams. Different strategies apply to different situations. Everything is individual, but you need to be the CEO of your career and step into that right now. Toxic boss will not handle themselves. You need to step up for your career and for yourself and for your own sanity. You're a high performer. I know you can do this. Trust yourself. Look how far you've come already. You can do this. So as a positive reflection, I also want you to go the other way around and think about this. What would it look like to lead from a place of clarity and calmness this week? How would I show up and how would I communicate and how would I feel doing that? What would that open up for me in terms of possibilities and opportunities in the future? And then last but not least, I know that kind of feels risky. Even if you're in a healthy, quite normal workplace, if we always were the person that responds straight away, changing this little tactic sounds scary and feels scary. I get it. It's always scary to go out of our comfort zone. The ironic thing is your comfort zone is right now actually, if you're really true to yourself, really uncomfortable. So you are doing yourself a favor in setting the new standard and switching all your comfort zone to something that is actually comforting you in your career so that you can be strategic and clear. The way how I want you to do this is to track what you're doing and what came out of that. You set a little boundary, track it in your notes app or in a Google document. And then write down what came out of that in terms of yourself, how you felt, your confidence, like all of the internal things. And then also on the outside, what was the actual reply? What was the actual result out of that? Perhaps you delivered something better and actually got rewarded for that. Perhaps you had less feedback rounds, which was actually bringing you more time, even more space to do meaningful work. Perhaps your boss or somebody else in the management team was recognizing your good work, and this leading to potentially having another person as a mentor or another important person in your network that speaks up for you in a room where you're not in, right? So think about it and write all of that down. What that does, it rewires you a little bit in a way that you understand that this is actually a great opportunity for you to grow. And that this boundary is actually not at all a thing where you're like, I want to work less, but where you switch to working more strategically and more meaningfully. So each time you do it, make sure that you celebrate it as the win that it is. And think about this. If you do that in the long run, how will your career trajectory shift? And how will the way you feel about yourself shift? Once you understood that, there's no way back. So let's wrap this up. You do not need to be a fast responder in order to be valuable or feeling valued. You need to be intentional, strategic, and clear in your head. The way you become clear is by setting small boundaries for you to actually do meaningful work. Getting interrupted every 5 minutes is not helping you. It's a distraction. You do not want to be the person that everybody thinks you're just replying straight away because you set a standard that is impossible to maintain in the long run and that is not compatible with the next step in your career. So let this be the week that you start leading with calmness and clarity. Let me please know if this was helpful for you. Please comment whatever it is. If you have any question or comment, if you like the podcast, forward it to somebody, like, subscribe, and give the 5-star rating. I'm looking forward to having you back next time. Hope this was helpful. See you then. Bye.